Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to go over command tables. Command tables are pretty similar to time curves in the sense that it makes movement in coordinated ways, but command tables are a lot more detailed and you can add a lot more things to it, especially timing, timers. So let's go ahead and go over this right now and I'll show you an example code of some coordinated movements that is pretty similar to the last one we did. So here we go here. This is an example program I have here in the command table settings that makes my motor move back and forth. So we're going to go by each thing one by one. I'll explain to you what each thing does and how we can get this started pretty easily once we have all this downloaded into the drive. So the very first one, the entry ID 1, you see we have something called the VAI go to position. Okay, this is one of the most popular ones, I would say. It's just simple movement right to a position, and it just goes to that position from the position it was to start. And obviously, in our project, we have it homed to 0 millimeters when you want to start our movement. So again, as you can see here, the target position where it wants to move, -95. It has a maximum velocity at which it moves, and then acceleration. Acceleration is typically the most important because that's what gets the motor going. So as you can see, I have it moving very slow right now. So we'll go ahead and change this. Let's change this to, we'll just do 1 for now, and then for this we'll do 5 meters per second squared, and then we'll deceleration, we'll do the same thing. Go ahead and click apply here. Now, and there's another one, motion command type, called wait until motion is finished. So if I were to just put the VAI go to position right after the other position, it would cause some issues. So where you can find the wait until motion is finished is in the motion command types, as you can see here. The category is conditions, and you go here. There's a lot of different ones. You got wait until motion is finished, wait until I'm in the target position, wait until the rising trigger. There's a bunch of stuff you can look at here that can coordinate your movement to make it run smoother. Just to kind of show you where I got the VAI to go to position 1, it's in the most commonly used. Like I said before, it's a pretty popular one. So there's a lot of different categories here. There's even some time curve settings here that we talked about last time. But this is where I find the VAI go to position. So to keep going, as you can see, I have it in the top right here. I have it auto execute new command on the next cycle. So if I were to undo this, after it's done running this cycle right here, it wouldn't know what to do next. It would just go there and stop. Okay. But if I toggle this auto execute new command, and I want the new command to go to number 2, then after this ID 1 is finished, it'll go directly to number 2. Okay. So this is very important if you want a coordinated motion continuously. You got to make sure the ID sequence to the next one is set to the one right under that, if that's what you want. Obviously, you can jump around. Like I can put this to 3, you know what I mean, and it'll be perfectly fine. But this is the way I like to do it here. So again, I'm gonna make sure that's 2. Apply that. I'm gonna change this because I don't want it to be. I'm gonna go to -90. Okay. So I have it moving at 1 meter per second. Let's change this back to 5 and change this back to 5 like I had before. Okay, you're going to apply that. See, the settings have changed here. And again, make sure this is at 2. And then here, wait until motion is finished. This is, like I said before, this is just making sure that the motor doesn't move again until we finish this first motion here. And again, after this is done, I want it to go to 3, which is the one right under that. So when you see the auto execute new command, you want to make sure that's on the next rung that's right underneath that, which is this one. And then again, the speeds are very slow. So actually, let's I want you to see how we can go from fast to slow pretty quick. Actually, okay. So it wants me to give it energy. I'm just gonna do 1. That's fine. And this I'll do 0.0. Let's do 0.5. Boom. Okay. Get rid of that. Enter. And I'll do 0.5 again. Okay. So as you can see, this is a drastic change in speed. So like this one I have 5 meters per second. This one I have 0.5 meters per second. So you'll be able to see the difference in speeds when it goes up and when it goes down. Okay. We couldn't do that with time curves, which is why command tables are very useful. And then of course, for the last one, I want this to restart back up to the top. Okay, to redo the cycle. So when I go auto execute to the next command, I'm not going to 5 because there's nothing there. I go back up to 1. So that's why I have it right here. Okay. So go ahead and click apply. When everything looks like the way you want it to, I'm gonna go ahead and download that to the drive like that. Okay. And I'll show you in a second once we get this moving what that looks like. Okay. So once you see this caution go away and everything looks good, gonna go back to your control. Now there's a way you can do this through triggering, clicking the button, but it's much easier to go directly into the manual motion command interface, and I'll show you what that looks like right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that firmware back on like so. Give it a second to turn on. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now you see, again, the switch is off, so it's not ready. I'm going to go ahead and turn that switch on. Obviously, I'm going to home my motor. Okay. Motor's moving to a position where it can move. It's going to move to 0. Perfect. I can unclick that. And now I'm going to go to this bottom right panel. Okay. I'm going to enable manual override, just like before. I'm going to go to command type, and I'm going to go all the way down to start command table command. Okay. I'm going to click on that. There we can start the command table right from here. We don't have to do any outputs or inputs. So I'm going to type in here. I'm going to type in 1 because that's where I want to start. And what I mean by that is 1 is the first ID I have, so that's where I want to start. So I'm going to type in 1 right here. And then I want to make sure this auto increment count nibble is on because that means it's going to keep going to the next one over and over. Okay. So when I send this command, you should see movement in the way that I started, in the way that I created this command table here. So let's see if we can get some movement here. There you go. And as you can see, it's shooting out pretty fast, and then the return is slower than when it's shooting out. That's because, like I just showed you here, the speeds are a lot different. So you have 5 meters per second here, and then 0.5 meters per second here. And this is what makes it different from time curves. You can't really do that with time curves, so it's pretty cool to see that. And then, of course, if you want to stop your movement, you can go ahead and just undo this, and enable manual override will just turn off. And after you do that, it turns off. And again, you can play around with this. There's many different things you can do. You can even do it for the rotary motor, have it move infinitely in a circle. You can have this moving like a ladder, so I can go to position -20 to -40, -60, -80, all the way up and then back down. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this to play around with it. And that's going to wrap up the video.